You don't know me, I don't know you, that's what we tell us.
Well, in the first place, it's more or less kind of something that just happened. But when it comes to my surname, which the term Wurst is used in German-speaking areas also, not just by the thing you can eat, but also by saying I don't care and it's not important. And this is what I wanted to say, you know, because it is not important how you look or where you're from or the color of your skin. It's all about your character. And this is what I'm always going for, to focus on, you know. I think by looking back and especially creating my book, I found out that I've always been that kind of person, and back in the days, this little kid always fighting for equality and respect. And if something happened which I thought was not fair, I would stand up and, you know, call them out. And so this is something that I always had within, and over the year it just became more and more natural to talk about it in this, you know, public way. The story about this book is, after winning the Eurovision, a German publisher came up to my company and they asked me if I want to release a book about my life. And I said, well, it's flattering, but I'm only 26 years old and I don't think that I'm gonna write a book about my life. That's just too early. But they forced me to think about it, and I did. And I said, okay, if we're gonna do this, it needs to be a book that I would buy myself. And books that I buy are featuring many pictures. And this is what I did in this book as well. You know, because I'm a very visual person, and this is just something that I love to look at. And so there are many, many pictures, but at the end of the day, the whole story, how everything came about, and yeah.
Do you have a date for the translation into Portuguese?
I don't. That's embarrassing, but we will find that out. I am a drag artist. I'm a drag queen. I'm not a transgender person. On the one hand, it's always quite, how can I say? On the one side, I think it's great that I got the opportunity to talk about those things, but on the other hand, it's really difficult for me because you must not confuse these two terms, because being a transgender person is true life. It's when you're born, when you identify yourself as a different gender you are, signed with, then you're a transgender person. That might lead to a transition and going to a sex change. What we drag artists do is entertainment and just to show the glitzer and the glam. So I am a man dressed up as a woman, and being a transgender person is, the whole real deal, and I can't even imagine how hard and painful this journey must be. Obviously, the vision is quite strong, so people are interested in first place, okay, why? Why is she doing drag with a beard? At the end of the day, I'm totally fine with it because, I love every aspect of the things that I do, and I meet people enjoying my music more than doing fashion, and vice versa. And when it comes to the fact that still the music is a little bit behind, is that I didn't have a repertoire before. It's my ever first album, and I'm doing my little baby steps in the music industry. When it comes to my image, I'm doing drag since I'm 14, but not in a regular way, and you can imagine at the age of 14 there was no beard in my face. So I started out as being a drag queen, like, we know drag queens, and over the years I just find my own style. And when it started to be a regular thing, I said to myself, okay, I love my face with the beard and I don't want to shave because it needs a week till it grows back and that I feel uncomfortable. And so that's when I asked back in these days the lady which gave me the opportunity to host a burlesque show week by week. I asked her if she would be fine by having a bearded lady, and she said, well, sure, go for it. And that was the day when I decided to be this kind of drag. There is a very romantic story my grandmother loves to tell, she keeps on saying everybody that she bought me my first skirt. And she puts it in, as I said, in a very romantic way, but I think she just surrendered by me standing there in the shop crying my heart out that I want to have a dress or a skirt, and she just bought it. And I always, you know, my parents raised me in believing whatever makes you happy, and if you follow simple rules, you can do almost anything with your life. And they always told me, be respectful and don't hurt anybody. And the rest is basically up to you. And when it comes to the point where I decided to go to kindergarten in a dress, my mother would you know, wait outside. And another mom would come up to her and she asked her, so why are you waiting? I mean, your boy is already in kindergarten. And she was standing there and saying, no, but he will come back because he's wearing a dress and they will be nasty and he will be crying and we have to get home, get changed, and you know. But I wouldn't come out. So, you know, I always find a way to deal with it. I think we are born in a very self-confident way, and then we turn into teenagers and we get insecure. In those years, and I think everybody can relate to that, you're just finding out so many new things. Your body is changing. You learn so many things about society, and one of those things for the others was a nasty name for this little boy dressing up as a girl or being more feminine than all the other boys. And because I thought something was wrong once I found out that I'm into men, that, you know, this insecurity grow, and so people could hurt me. And it took years and years and years to understand and, you know, to be true to who I am and embrace who I am. I'm doing music in the public eye since 2007, so at the age of 17, 18. And I spent most of the time of my career with not winning and not being successful. So you can imagine me winning something like the Eurovision Song Contest is not something that I digest that easy. So it is still a huge privilege, and I think that will be forever. But
some radical politicians, mainly in Russia, criticized your victory.
Yes.
Would you like to comment that?
Well, the only thing I have to say about this is thank you for your attention, because I wouldn't spend a minute of my time with something that I don't like.
You're stronger than you believe you are unstoppable.
As we can see in America, the equal marriage, as we can see people like Caitlyn Jenner speaking up and making this a public issue. The opportunity that I have to be who I am without the need of being scared, you know. But still, there are so many places and countries in the world where you get killed because of who you are. And so it is a movement in every direction you can imagine, and there's a lot going on. And yes, definitely, it was different in the 90s, and I'm thankful that it moves forward. But yeah, it's still a long way to go.